my secret now. I see dead people.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze. You are about to embark on a journey, one that often leads to more questions than answers. But fear not, your host, Krista, Aaron, and Brandy have the experience, the perseverance, and yes, even the gifts to pull back the veil and allow us to glimpse the other side. They will share not only their experiences, but will introduce you to world-renowned researchers and experiencers to help you find answers in the murky waters of what we call the paranormal. Their bonds with each other reach far beyond friendship, resulting in a pull no punches approach to the many subjects they explore. Their goal? To open eyes, hearts, and even minds to what lies on the other side, and the answers residing there.
Hey everybody, welcome. Glad everybody's here tonight with us.
I know. I am so excited. It's Friday the 13th. Woo!
I know. Woo! I seen somebody in chat had asked if we were having a guest tonight, and while we're doing our opening here, if you guys want to throw in guesses, go for it, because we do have a special guest tonight, and we're not going to bring this certain person up until we get some guesses out there and see who's right. Because I guarantee you probably won't guess this one.
Probably not. Probably not. No.
So
no,
I'm going to tell you something to what happened today. Okay. So two things. I had the girls, and we went by a gas station, and there was an old Corvette sitting there pumping gas, and Ava says to me, and she's my 13-year-old, she says, "Oh, there's one of them hybrid cars." And all I did is I just bust out laughing. I'm like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Ava, that's like a 70s Corvette. That's as cool as you can get, And so we were talking about that. And I mean, like, my kid really's got to get out, because then we're going down the road and there's an old truck with a camper, and she didn't know what the camper was. I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." Like, right? Thought a Corvette was a hybrid, one of them new hybrids. And then, an older truck with a camper. So here we go. Here we go.
There it is. Hey, it's kind of like they haven't ever went camping and had to sleep in a truck with a camper on it before. They have no idea. Right. We need to find somebody with one and take them camping.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So
it's called living out of the back of your truck.
Right. Exactly. I see people are guessing out there, and I don't see any correct answers yet.
Glenn says Biden.
Well, no. That I assure you will never happen.
No political here. Nothing political.
No. That's funny. Why don't you remind everybody what to watch, and we will bring our guest up for tonight.
Sure. On Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central, it's Texas Front Porch with your favorite co-host. That's me. I'm his favorite co-host. And of course, Tex. Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, it is Bigfoot Michigan Rob with Beyond BMR. On Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central is Danielle Diva in the Diva Dimension. On Thursday at 12 p.m. Central, it's Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob and his favorite co-host, Krista. We've already determined he's never going to get rid of her. Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central, it's Blondes and Booze. I'm getting ahead of myself. On Fridays at 8 p.m. Central, it's Blondes, Booze, and the Woo, which we're here right now. Which is, again, it's Bootober, people. It's Bootober, so everybody gets spooky. On Saturday at 2 p.m. Central, Tex and Danielle Diva dropped their newest episode of Infamous Minds. Don't forget on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central, Texas Front Porch and crew are invading Midwest Night Watchers. So make sure you tune into that. Again, it's at 7 p.m. Central. It's going to be a good show, a big panel. We're all going to be there, so you never know what's going to happen. Absolutely not.
Right,
make sure
right.
you also tune into
Be
Donnie
fun.
Cho. Donnie Cho says stuff, and we never know what he's going to come up with. It's always a surprise to me. And one last thing,
true.
tonight at 10 p.m. Central, Texas Front Porch is holding a members only Q&A session. So if you are a member on Texas Front Porch, remember to hop over there at 10 p.m.
Yep, after the show tonight, for sure.
Mhm.
Also, one more thing. If you are planning on going to Texas Fish Fry, he
Yes.
needs RSVPs ASAP. So unfortunately, I can't make it, but I do know Brandy is going.
Yeah, I am going to go. So just email anybody on the Texas Front Porch crew,
Any of us.
and we'll get him the information.
Yep. All right. So drum roll, and I'll bring up our special
Drum roll,
guest.
please.
Look,
There she is. It's
Hey,
her.
Hello.
Monsters.
It's Small Town Monsters. We're having Small Town Monsters Week this Bootober.
That's right. That's right.
Just got to.
Yeah. Yep. She was, and kind enough to say, yeah, I'll hop on. So we appreciate
Yeah,
you.
but you know what happened? What happened is how this all started is I had a dream, and it was very vivid.
Mhm.
And I couldn't help myself. At 6 o'clock this morning, I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs. I'm like, is anybody up? Is anybody up? Let me text Heather. Let me see if she's available. Let me text Krista. It's just like I had all these things going on in my mind from this particular dream.
Right.
So Heather texts back a little bit later. She says, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Right on. Here we go.
And here we are.
Glenn said she was my next guest. Yes. Are you sure about that, Glenn?
Yeah. I figured everybody would, figure BMR, text, or somebody, the usual.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That's
All right. So let me start out with what I was dreaming about. And this is the first time that I've dreamt about this since it happened. It was about my Bigfoot encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically, we were all in the same place. Krista was still in the tent. I was in the car. Everything was still in the same thing, except when I look over, I see Bigfoot standing there. But then when I look back, everybody is outside their tent looking at me. I didn't understand what was happening there. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then they're just walking around, acting like nothing's going on. And I'm like, it's right there. And nobody is paying attention to me. And I can't figure out why nobody's paying attention to me. And so I'm just sitting there and watching it. And I mean, this went on forever. And I'm just watching everybody having a good time, talking, walking around. And then, they'd stop and look at me again. And I'm like, are you guys not hearing me? Are you not hearing me? For some reason, I couldn't get out of my car. I couldn't open the door. I couldn't do any of that. It's like the doors would not open. I tried, unlocking them, and then nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked back over, and the next thing you know, Bigfoot was gone. And then I looked back over to everybody else, and they're gone. So here I am sitting in the car, and there's nobody there again. And I woke up to that, and I'm like, well, hello? Little Patty asked, were you naked? No, I was not naked. Everything was the same except the people walking around, and then they'd look at me, and then they'd walk around, and then they'd look at me. I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, is it because we talked about it again last night? Is it because
they say dreams have some sort of hidden messages? Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate that. But
Thank you, Catherine.
they say that dreams are some sort of hidden message. I don't know a whole
You know,
lot about dreams.
You know, I don't know what that message would have been. It's just kind of like, was it because I'm sitting in my car, you know, in the actual encounter, sitting in my car, and I knew I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of the car. I couldn't honk the horn. I couldn't turn on the lights. I couldn't even grab my phone. Not that it would help because we had no signal. Couldn't
Right.
call nobody or even text anybody to be cute, you know, just nothing. I mean, is that part of it? Heather, what do you think about that?
I mean, that could be part of it. And also you said that you couldn't get anybody to like pay attention, right? You were trying to get their attention. They weren't paying attention. So I'm one to think that sometimes what we dream has to do with stuff that is kind of going on in our life. So maybe in some way you're feeling ignored in one aspect of your life, like you're trying to get something out there and people are just ignoring it. And then it just manifests this way through this dream.
That's a good thought. By the way,
That
thank
is
you,
a good
Bama.
thought.
Thank you, Bama. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Bama. Because
that
that does
is a
resonate. That does resonate. It sure does. Because Krista can even say that even resonates with her.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, with the things going on privately, I mean, yeah. It's just like that our voices are not being heard, you know, because I was kind of thinking maybe that I'm second guessing myself, or somebody had said like Bigfoot PSD somewhere up in there. Maybe that was it, you know, because I wasn't scared during the encounter, but I did have the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
You know, but of course I used to be a hunter and I used to get an adrenaline rush when I was out hunting too. When, you know, like say a big old deer would come by, you know, you're looking at it and you're breathing, you know, you starts to quicken and your heartbeat starts to quicken. And, you know, so I've felt that before, but not ever to that extent. Like that was just over the top. I've never felt anything like that before.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But then maybe Heather, you need to get into dreams because that totally makes sense what you said. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe she should study dreams and tell us all about it, because I'll come to you with some doozies. Never been naked, but you know, hey.
Have you had any weird, crazy dreams like that, Heather, that you can think of?
I have vivid dreams all the time. And so I've looked into different meanings for dreams before, but some of them are just so realistic that it's difficult. But I'm trying to think of one that was fairly recent. I mean, I had a vivid dream a couple months back that my grandfather showed me this like necklace that had some sort of attachment to it. I can't remember all the details now. We ended up I did an Instagram live with my friend Carly, who's the Village Tarot Witch on Instagram. And she pulled cards to try to figure out what this was. But it was so, like, I have these vivid dreams, and every once in a while I'll have one that I'm like, I feel like there's a hidden message in here that I cannot, like something beyond me is trying to talk to me. And now I will say that sometimes it's only happened a couple times, but I've had really vivid dreams where I actually like am dying in the dream. Like something horrible has happened. I've like, the car goes off a bridge or something and I'm drowning in the car. Every time that I've had those dreams, it seems like within the next week or so, something massive happens in my life that it's like a massive change. Nothing nothing, you know, nobody's dying or anything like that, but just a huge shift in my perspective or the direction that I was going. So I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, you know, I've heard of like when people have dreams of death, it's not necessarily that you're going to die or that person you're dreaming about is going to die. It could be like something about them, you know, be it an behavior or, you know, something like that is going to go away, you know? So dreams are weird, man. I had one dream. Well, I've had two weird dreams that I can remember. One of them is, as most of you know, that my friend is Tony Tony Pickman over, who made the Sally House famous. And this has been about, I don't know, 5 years ago. And Tony had always told me, he said, don't even drive by that house because it's evil. It attaches to people, and this and that. So I had a dream that I was actually walking in front of the Sally House. I see it as plain today as I did in my dream. The house, walking in front of it. And then it's right on 2nd Street in Atchison, Kansas. And I looked down at the stop sign and I seen a dark hooded figure standing there. And I honestly, to this day, believe that that was a warning. That wasn't a dream. Mm-hmm. That dream scared me. It really, really scared me. And then I remember I told Tony about that dream, and he told me never go to that house. He said, because it will F you up. That was your warning. And I haven't been.
Huh.
So yeah, that was a weird one for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have you ever had like reoccurring dreams? Anybody? I mean, that they just keep happening over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And
the repetitive dreams.
They'll have a little bit of variation, but not much. I mean, it's basically the same dream over and over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had those.
Yeah.
There's one since I was little that would occur where I would be at the back door, which was a sliding glass door. It used to be anyway at my parents' house. And I would just dream that I'd go to the sliding glass door. It was in the middle of the night, and I would see a group of people walking up on the hill with like torches, and they had robes on, and they were just a group of them walking further into the woods. And it would always scare me. That's as far as the dream ever went, but I would have that dream every so many months.
That's a scary dream.
Yeah,
that is.
And I don't know what that ever meant, but it was something that I dreamt repeatedly. Now it only happens like once a year or so that I have that dream, but it still occurs.
Wow.
I'm wondering if maybe something is trying to tell you or give you a warning or make you aware of something. That's why it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've wondered before if something happened, like if there's something attached to the woods, like something had occurred a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like an imprint of something that, like, I'm just seeing a replay or whatever of something that had happened before, but I don't know. I haven't found anything yet.
Wow.
And it makes you go ahead.
I was going to say, Bama here makes a comment. Have you guys had those falling dreams? And then you just like,
yeah, you jerk awake.
Yeah, jerk awake. I've had those. I know exactly what Bama's talking about.
See, and I do that anyway. And I asked the doctor about it. I said, why is it that I'm jerking? Like when I'm going to sleep and then I'll just jerk myself awake, and it happens all the time, just all the time. And he explained to me that it's just like your body's saying go to sleep, but your brain's like, nope. Mm-hmm. We're not ready to go to sleep yet. So your brain is keep trying to wake your body up. And they call it, what was it that it's called? Hypnic jerk.
Yep. Hypnic jerk.
Hypnic jerk. And and I've had this for years. It's just like your body's like, I'm tired, but your brain's like, no, you're not. I'm going to wake you up.
Isn't it true that you have them when you're like completely exhausted? Like physically exhausted.
I mean, it could. I've noticed
kind of whenever I've had mine, like I'm just so tired and, I feel it and I don't know.
I mean, I know that I do it, but I've also noticed it like with my kids, even when they start to fall asleep every once in a while, they'll jerk. Yep. They may not even wake up,
right?
But they twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And when it happens to me, like I said, it happens all the time. But a lot of times when it's real bad, like you'll jerk yourself awake and then go to sleep and jerk yourself awake. When I have it real bad in one night, I notice I have really lucid dreams. Mm-hmm. It's like my brain is just going and going and going. And my dreams are super lucid. But, it's like my body's so tired by the time. And when I wake up in the morning, it's like I remember parts and pieces. but I have the feeling that it really happened. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, have you ever had like a dream about your significant other and you wake up and you're mad? Because, you're just mad
How
in your
dare
dream and then
you?
you wake up and,
Yeah.
how dare you do that to me? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I even remember,
exactly.
I remember when I was younger, even noticing like my mom would be upset in the morning or something because she had a dream that dad had cheated on her or something. And she'd be like, I can't believe you, Randy. And he's like, I didn't do that. Well, dream you did. And how dare
Just
dream
did
you and
it.
do that to me?
Yeah. Yep. That's funny.
Right.
Yeah. It's just,
In this, the strangest thing is that Chris and I are the same way. When we go to sleep, it's the ID channel or something similar. We've got to watch, murder mysteries and blah, blah, blah. When I do that, I don't have those mean dreams. Isn't that weird? I don't have those mean dreams. I don't.
that is crazy.
I wake up, and, it might be a weird dream, but it's not a mean dream. I'm not mad at anybody.
Right. Yeah.
But I've had like a reoccurring dream, and it's funny how you remember these, and it happened for, I can't even tell you, from when I was about a young teenager and all the way up into my 20s. And I would see this house. It was like a farmhouse, 2-story, white. It had like dark brown shutters on it. It had like a broken down old truck out front. The grass was all grown up around it, like it had been abandoned, type of thing. And you could just see for miles around it. There was really nothing to it. And I kept having it and kept having it and kept having it. One night, my cousin and I decided we were going to go back road driving, just checking things out, riding around, talking, blah, blah, blah. Out in rural areas, you don't have much else to do. So, we were just out riding around talking. And I ran across that house and I seen it with my own eyes. Now, the lawn was mowed. The shutters were they were like black. They weren't brown. They were blackish color. And the house was gray. But other than that, everything was still the same, even the broken down truck.
So that's a deja vu.
I don't know if it's deja vu because I dreamed it.
Right. And with deja
I would
vu,
dream. Like
right.
A deja vu is when I get the feeling like I've been there before when I'm awake.
Right.
Like
but
I've
when I
done
had
this
deja
before.
vu, it was through a dream. Like I was a little kid and I dreamed it, and it's a place on a highway and I passed it. And honestly, it was with Bigfoot, and I was a little kid, and I look over in my dream and there's a bunch of Bigfoot on a hillside, and I didn't think no more about it. And then it was, I don't know how many years later, I was still a kid, but I went down that same route with my dad. And I'm like, whoa, I've been here. And then it hit me. Obviously there was no Bigfoot, but it was a deja vu because I seriously had been there, but in my dream I was there. So I feel like that was deja vu for me.
Yeah, for me, for deja vu, it's been like I start doing something. Say I'm cleaning up the bathroom. Just say I'm cleaning up the bathroom, and then there's this particular spot that I'm trying to get out of the floor, whatever. And then I get this deja vu, like I'm cleaning up the same exact spot that I've cleaned up 100 times. It's like I've done this before, but when and where, in life have I done it? And I've never have. So I've done that a lot. I mean, that is another thing. What would cause that? Is there some kind of message or something that you're being sent there? I mean,
I don't know.
That's
crazy.
Well, it makes me think about Heather's story and about the hooded people and the torches and blah, blah, blah. Do you think that could be just a past life replay?
Good question.
It's not necessarily right there where it happened. Maybe it was in your past life that you could have had that just looping through your head.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. I've thought about that. And sometimes that it's just like a glimpse that maybe I wasn't there before, but I'm just seeing a glimpse of time,
Something.
of something that had happened, not because I was there, but just seeing a glimpse in the moment of something that had happened. But
Right.
yeah,
I don't know, Heather. You sound like a candidate for past life regression. You know,
I would love
just
to do that.
just to find out
Yeah,
if
that would be
that's
amazing.
part of it, and that's why you keep having that dream. That maybe it's not a dream; it's just a clip of your past life.
Yeah, that would be. I would be down for that.
Yeah.
If ever given the opportunity.
I know somebody who does that.
Really?
Yeah, we can hook you up. We've had him on the show
Okay.
before. Barry Littleton.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that would be.
I had thought about doing that myself because I don't know why. I just have this feeling, this gut feeling like, and that I was a peasant in Romania in my past life.
Wow.
Is that weird?
That's so specific. That's the wild part about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would like to find if there's some validation to that. Because for some weird, I'm attracted to Romania. I always have been my whole life.
I'd
I'd like
I
to
think
check
there's
into
something with that.
You know what also would be fun is to check your ancestry, your DNA, and see what what you're made up of. And that would be cool if it was Romanian. That would be awesome.
Well, I have went back and I have nothing from Romania in my
Nothing. Dang.
nothing, not a thing.
Dang.
I know. And that's why I just feel like I was a peasant in Romania back when. I don't know.
Yeah. You know,
What do you guys think about spirit guides?
oh, I know I have them. I do.
Everybody has them.
Yeah, I know I have them. And they play bad tricks on me all the time. I mean, I think I did a segment, a short videos on what had happened to me about the angel numbers and what I thought it was. And then, and then it's kind of like they had to send me another message going, no, that's not what we said. This is what we actually meant. And it did. And I'll tell the story real quick. It's just I had the angel numbers 444 coming up all the time. And 444 is meaning basically that that your spirit guides are working to find you love and find your right mate for you and blah blah blah. I mean, it has other meanings, but that's the one I grabbed from all the information that it gave. And I'm thinking cool. So with me buying crystals and everything, and I was watching a show that they were selling crystals, and they're like, well, you could win this in a raffle. And I'm like, okay. So I put my name in. Well, I won this crystal, a spherolite. So I look up the meaning of spherolite going, because my number when I put my name in was number 4. I said, okay, here it is, 4 again. So I won the spherolite. Well, then I looked it up, and sure enough, it does not mean that at all. It has nothing to do with love. It means, it's trust your guides and that, trust in them that they've got you on your right path, and that, it's to help you out with clearing the path for you, get you on your way, da 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 da. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with love.
Yeah.
Just nothing. I thought, well, that was a nice way to go. Yeah, sure.
Yep. Glenn Dannison, he asked, how do you find them, meaning spirit guides? So I'll give you a brief overview real quick, how I learned. Sarah Lamos taught me this, that it's a matter of meditation. And, you clear your mind, you make sure you're protected. And, for me, I believe in Jesus Christ. So I, do my protection thing. And then you basically just lay down and picture yourself walking into this big, beautiful place. There's a stairwell, walk up in there, big, beautiful door. You sit down and you ask one at a time to come in. And it works. I actually told someone else this here, I don't know, a month or so ago. a friend of ours, and he did it, and he called me back freaking out. He's like, "Oh my God," So it does work. But anyway, that's how I found mine. And my spirit guide, one of mine is her name is Julia, and she died in, I think it was 1840. What'd you tell me? It was in the 1840s, and she died while giving birth to her. I think it was her fourth child. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but apparently, like, when I believe that we just don't have one life. I believe, in the past lives, I believe, we die and we can come back. And from what I was told, that like when I die, then she comes back and I'm her spirit guide.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that is pretty cool.
I like that. I don't know. Cool. If it's true, if it's true, I don't know. I just, it's just what I've been told, and,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
and I believe that, because I was told that one of my spirit guides is a relative of mine, which is very common that your relatives will come back for you.
My mom is my spirit guide, and I do believe that too. Like, we all have more than one. So sometimes when our past ones or our loved ones pass away, they do come back and help guide us. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, and I was told that, that it was somebody who was younger, and the man, I'm not going to say his name. He's passed. So we're just going to skip the name. But he told me, he said, but it's your grandmother, great grandmother. It's something of that nature, but they're young. He said, I don't know if they picture themselves young or something, but they're coming through as a young person. And I kind of had to think about it, because that stuff doesn't hit you right away. Even if you go to a psychic medium that is worth their weight in gold, they may tell you stuff you don't understand right then. It may take a year, it may take 5, but eventually it'll come to you. Well, I have a great grandmother, which was my dad's mother, who had passed away in a car accident way before I was born. My father was a young man, and I believe that it was her coming back, because she wasn't very old at all.
Yeah.
So I believe it's her coming back to help guide me through. So I just thought it was very cool that they had hit upon that it was a woman that was connected to me by blood, and who was young. Well,
yeah,
there you go. So I thought that was pretty cool.
We do have a question for Heather.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Debbie Howell asks, I'd like to hear from Heather and her Bigfoot experiences, since she is the guest.
Okay. Well, are we talking about what Seth probably talked about yesterday?
Well, we jump all over on our show, so wherever you want to go.
It's good.
We talk Bigfoot, so yeah.
Okay, because dream-wise, the only dreams that I've ever had Bigfoot-wise are just that I'm somewhere and I look out the window and somebody points out to me like, oh, well, they're just right there. And all of a sudden you can see them. Like, it's just so obvious that you see like a head peeking around a tree or something. And I'm like, oh, and then it's actually terrifying, because you can see that they're actually everywhere. That's the dream. The dream that happens. That's another repetitive dream. But anyway, as far as experiences go, that would have happened here around the time that we were filming something called the Bigfoot Project, which is available on YouTube. And I mean, there's been the howls. It started with, when we first moved here, I started putting things in the woods in the hopes that as my kids got older, they would find like crystals and things in the woods, and it'd be like a treasure hunt for them. I wasn't going to tell them that I hid them in there in the woods, but anyway, I did that shortly after we moved here, hid crystals in different areas. And then a friend had come to visit, and we were outside at night, and we were doing like an investigation for ghost hunting. And she was getting really uncomfortable while we were in the woods doing it. So she had us go out. She didn't tell me till later. It's for reasons that she's like had seen something moving in there. But oh gosh, brown recluse is really bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, my friend insisted that we move out to the fields to continue our investigation. When we were out in the field, I just, for some reason, for me, I'm like, well, this doesn't seem like a ghost investigation anymore. If we're out in an open field, I mean, this is more like a Bigfoot thing. So I played the Ohio Howl, which was recorded actually not very far away from here. And shortly after playing it on my phone, I mean, it's just as loud as my phone would go with my hand cupped over the speaker. We got a return howl. And yeah. And I got excited. She got freaked out. Because I'm like, you can't, there's no way that this is actually happening. But anyway, so we played it again. We got a return howl again. We got some whistles and branches breaking and things like that. And she insisted that we come back to the house. So we did. But the next day I thought, well, I've heard of gifting, right? And I've put these crystals out. I wonder if anything's been messed with. And so I went out to this one stump where I had put a handful of different crystals, and the one crystal was gone. It's just a regular quartz, but it had been like acid washed to be a bright yellow color. It was gone. And in its place was a vertebrae from a deer. And so, yeah. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I pick it up and I call Seth. And Seth said, did you move it? And I'm like, well, yeah, I picked it up. And he's like, if it had any DNA on it or whatever, you just probably just ruined it. But whatever, I was excited about it. So I just put the vertebrae in a box and I brought it back to the house. And I would go up and check and things would get moved around. Nothing had gotten really taken after that. But about a month later, that crystal came back in the same spot and it was all muddy and dirty. So there was that. But when all of that had been happening, I told Seth, of course, I called him and told him about the vertebrae. And he's like, I want to come out and film some stuff. And that was kind of the beginning of the Bigfoot project. So like the very first episode of Bigfoot Project, you actually get to see some of the craziness that happened one of the first nights he was here, where they were, I mean, we could hear them running around us. They were throwing rocks at us. They were coming closer to where the kids were because the kids were in the cabin just down the way. I don't know. It was wild. And this activity went on for a handful of months. Seth actually saw one here on the property while they were filming B-roll and nearly broke his leg getting out of the gator to go. I don't know what he was going to do with it, but chasing after it. Of course, I didn't see it. I was at the house watching his son and then my kids too while they were out filming B-roll. So I was at the house and then he shows up at the house and he's all excited that he had this sighting. I'm like, of course you did, when I wasn't there. That figures. But so I haven't had a visual sighting like he has, but I've heard them around. And everything's been really quiet for the last several months though. They started digging up on the farm, like oil and gas pipeline. They cut down a ton of the forest this back here, and it's just all barren right now. Even the clear cut where Seth had seen or had his sighting, it's twice as wide now, and there's no brush at all because they just mowed it all down and put new pipeline in. So that's pretty much it for my Bigfoot stuff. It's all anything that I've experienced really has been recorded on the Bigfoot Project, which is on YouTube. Whether it's just me talking about it or the one night that he was here, and you can't hear them running around us, but you can certainly see us freaking out because they seem to be playing with us.
Right. Well, yeah, we I don't know. We, like I said, I told him last night and we've told you too, Brandy and I recently had a Bigfoot encounter and, it changes you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've watched all your guys's stuff. So I seen that episode that he was talking about and that you were just talking about too. So yeah, that's really cool. And Debbie, she says, thank you, Heather. Great story. Love that you were gifted and they returned the crystal. How sad to hear about the tree clearing. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
That's
Debbie.
all. I
yeah.
hate that.
I have like there's still crystals hidden out in the woods, and I go and check on them every once in a while. Nothing's moved. So nothing, I mean, like nothing's messing with them right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and
Do
they
you think
probably
that
moved on because they were
Mhm.
they're clearing, and that's sad. I hate that.
yeah,
You know.
in a few years they'll come back when everything's been settled for a while. I don't know.
Yeah. No. You know, and they just might. And you know, I heard rumor you're going to be at the LBL here pretty soon, so you may just have something help them happen.
Yeah. That's true. And if there is, I would hope that of something that's happening, it would just be Bigfoot, because I have zero interest in running into a dog man.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
I think I said that last night.
Yeah.
I said,
Mhm.
I absolutely do not want to run into any of them. Period. Not a dog man. I don't care what variant or whatever they're called. I'm just none. Just none.
Correct.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
unfortunately, going to the LBL, you know, where, you know, I know several people that have had encounters with a dog man there. So, I mean, your chances of running into one are, you know, kind of on the good side.
well, yeah. You know, I mean, but we had one person in our group who had a spectacular visual, and then turn around, and then we've got another two in our group that are getting pictures of footprints of Bigfoot. You know, was it the same weekend or was it the
It
weekend
was
before?
the same weekend. Anna and Michelle
same
were
weekend.
leaving, and they stopped in at the cemetery and
Yeah.
captured those.
Yeah. So good luck.
I think it
Have
was
fun with
Nichols
that.
Cemetery they got those. So
Thanks.
remember that, Heather, while you're there. Nichols Cemetery.
Which cemetery?
Nichols Cemetery is where
Nichols.
Anna and Michelle got the pictures. And then Mount Pleasant Cemetery is the one that Brandy and I, we've had paranormal encounters at.
Are these
Yeah,
on the north
but
or
there's
south side?
also
Just out
They're
of
in
curiosity.
the north side, and the people you're going with will know exactly where to take you.
Okay.
Yep.
I have my
And
LBL map here. That's why I was asking.
she's
And when
ready.
we're backstage, I don't want to put it out there because it's close to a lot of the big hot spots, but backstage, I'll tell you more.
Yeah, not a problem.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the cemetery, the Mount Pleasant one, is there has been reported a daytime sighting of was it a dog man, right?
Was a dog man. It's in Martin Grove's
Yep.
the second book.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This one.
Yep, that one.
Yes.
It's in
That
there.
one.
I'm doing my research, guys. I'm on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm
And
glad Krista knows what books and all that, because you know we actually get to talk with them, you know, because they're our friends and we pick their brains. So you know,
well, I have
it's
that
kind
same
of like
book too. Martin gave us that book. I read it.
right, and that's what I mean. But I get to pick their brain, so it's just kind of like I don't remember what book it's in. I actually got to ask him. He told
Right.
me.
That's even better. That's
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah. And I did ask Seth last night if you guys were tent camping. He said no. It's a good thing because I was gonna highly recommend against tent camping at the LBL. Just saying.
Yeah. No, I have no desire to do that. You could if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Not for
No,
me.
you don't want to tent camp at the LBL. That's for sure. we stay in the cabins when we go, and there's no like indoor bathroom or nothing, but there is they give you heat and cooling, and that's about it, you know.
Right.
But it's not terrible. It's
Yeah.
not terrible. No.
No.
So yeah,
But
go ahead, Brandy.
I was gonna say I wanted to talk about lost time a little bit. I mean, because I throw this into I don't know if it's daydreaming, but have you ever been in a car and you're like, say you're driving home from work or whatever, and then you can't figure out how you got there because you don't remember driving it at all?
I have not.
Yeah, that's happened. And it makes me concerned of how I was driving properly. It's like
Right.
I must be on autopilot.
Or do you
Yeah.
think that you went to another area, you know, another like spaceship or something, because people say that too with lost time, you know.
In that instance, whenever it's a driving situation, I've noticed that it's usually when there's something really heavy on my mind and I'm really deep in thought on it.
Gotcha.
So I don't know, the time just goes by quicker, I guess. And I absolutely have to be on autopilot because I don't remember paying attention to the traffic lights or anything, anything like that. But clearly I did, because I made it to my destination.
Right.
But
Wow. Brandy,
I mean, because it always, it always makes me wonder about how we are not concentrating on the road. It's almost like you don't see the road. You're not even, but you're still driving okay. You're still on the road. You still make it home. You're still functioning, but I don't get it. I mean, why aren't we crashing? Why are we not doing that? Because I asked myself, how did I even make it this far without running off the road? It's like if your phone rings and you can't answer it, you just kind of look down to see who it is. Well, then you run off the road. But you can take a whole 30-minute drive and not remember a thing and get there just fine.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that is what would classify as daydreaming or something like that? Heather?
yeah, I mean, daydreaming, the people that I know that are very open about daydreaming, it sounds just like that, where they just tune out for a while and have this entire thing play through in their head, and then when they come out of it, they're somewhere else. I'm not a huge daydreamer, I guess, but that sounds like what I've heard daydreaming is. Yeah.
Wow. What do you think about the people with missing time and then they end up in a different place?
That's scary. That's just straight up terrifying.
Right.
Yeah, my only experience that has been really out there with missing time was whenever I was on an investigation and on the Estes method, and apparently had been acting one way and not aware of it, with my eyes open. They had the flashlight on me, and I have no recollection of that. So that was my missing time, and I have no idea where I would have been during that. I don't know how I wasn't aware of what was happening.
Wow.
And that definitely wasn't a daydream situation. It freaked everybody out that was there, except me, because I had no idea.
Right.
So you were in more like a trance state.
Yeah, which tends to happen anyway whenever you're under for the Estes, it seems like, at least for me. But the difference is before, I know sometimes when people go under, they put a blindfold on, which I usually don't bother because we're usually in a pitch black room anyway. But the way that I would get pulled out is somebody would flash their flashlight at my face, which apparently they did. And I opened my eyes and looked at them and then continued to communicate with them. But it wasn't me there.
Yeah.
And that it's different than lost time that I've heard with abduction stories or something, where they, like you said, show up in a completely different place. Because I didn't leave places, but I wasn't, part of me wasn't there.
Right.
I don't know where I was, but I didn't physically leave the area. So
do you remember anything about it?
I can remember when I first went under, that the weirdest thing was all I heard was static. And that is really rare, because you normally hear the voices on the radio stations that are going through, right? I heard nothing but static. And I remember saying that I'm not hearing anything but static. And then things started talking, but then the next thing I remember is them shaking, physically shaking me, waking me up. The guy that shook me out of it, his name's Eric. Eric just said really calmly, "You need to go outside and you need to go ground yourself."
Wow.
And I was like, okay. Because that was something that normally wasn't said to me after going under.
So
And
were you,
everybody acted weird after that.
did they tell you that, like, you know, I know you said you just heard static, but did words eventually start coming where you were repeating?
Words eventually came because apparently I started threatening people, which was what freaked everybody out when they turned the flashlight on to try to pull me out of it. I opened my eyes and looked at the one woman and was just saying horrible things to her.
Oh my gosh.
Which isn't even like, that's not even remotely like me in any way.
Sure. So it wasn't you.
No, it isn't.
No.
It sounds like, honestly, you had some sort of a little possession.
Yeah. Well, it felt like something was going on because when I went outside then and actually got off of the grounds and like got off the cement and got on like grass, I started coughing and then started choking, and it felt like something was stuck, like, you know, when you have something stuck in your chest that you got to get out. That's what it felt like.
Yep.
To the point that I was doubled over coughing. Yeah.
You sure did.
Yeah, you got jumped. Yes, you did.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we come back, we've got a break. We got to take a 5-minute break. But when we come back, remind me, I'll tell you the story about what happened to me at the Ray County Museum, to somebody that had a similar experience to what you did, Heather. So when we come back, I'll talk about that. So guys, stay tuned with us. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
harder than you think. No think.
Around with us. Appreciate everybody. That was a quick break. I'm just saying.
Well, the music was going, and I'm here by myself at the house, and that's unusual. And I'm like, "Ooh, this is a little freaky," because all the lights are out. And I'm like, "Oh,
right."
I'm scaring myself over here."
That's what I'm saying.
But anyway, I had a question about. This is for Heather. When you go into that trance-like state, when you come out, do you feel like you have taken a nap? I mean, I do. I feel like I got a little cat nap.
Sometimes, yeah. After that particular time, I didn't. But yeah, there are definitely times I feel like re-energized afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, because I can understand that. I mean, there was only one particular time for me where, I mean, I came out of it and I was just a blubbering mess. You know, it was like the feelings just kind of overwhelmed you. Not that you remember what you said. It was just the feeling that you were getting during it.
Yeah.
Have you ever got that? Like,
yeah. What I end up doing is
when you come out,
if I end up having any feelings come through that I can tell aren't mine, I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I'm feeling really angry right now, or really sad, or whatever. I've not had anything like linger with me. But absolutely, if there's a feeling that I feel that I know isn't mine, then I express that so that everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Real quick, I'm going to backtrack here. When we were at Gatlinburg Bigfoot conference, it's when we actually got to meet you in person. And everybody knows any conference we go to, anybody who's anybody, we ask them to sign our banner and we get a picture with them. And Heather, I'm going to show you a picture.
There we are. See, we surprise everybody. If we got your picture, it's going up.
Come on our show, it's going to be shown. It's funny because Brandy uses the filters, you know, and so she makes women look really pretty, but she makes the men look really pretty too.
Yeah, they're real pretty. And see, I don't get it because, you know, with the filter, Chris and I, you know, hey, we smooth out little lines and it's okay. But who's ever in the middle gets like everything. And on a woman, it's fine.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh, Greg Ockles, he's in chat. We took a picture of him and it made him look like he had rosy cheeks and, you know,
mascara on.
Yeah, like he had all this makeup. And I'm like, wait a minute, that wasn't even a filter I used. You know, it was just, you know, something to, you know, blur the aging lines a little.
In the eyes.
Yep.
Really cute. Yeah.
I had to throw that up there real quick. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Look at this. I mean, that picture is just too funny. And we teased him for days about that picture.
Let me see if I can find this picture because it is hilarious with Greg. And I got a funny one of Adam Davies too.
Yeah.
Here's one of Greg. This is Greg here. Right, let me get it downloaded here.
He's got
Adam Davies is the best one though.
Yeah. Look at it. Look at it. See, it's just like
flawless.
Look like he got lip gloss on.
Yeah, he does. I got to find the one of Adam Davies because that one is just hilarious. And that was actually the Dogman conference one, I think. Because one,
he was such a trooper
at Gatlinburg. Didn't he's got glasses on, so that one's not really good. Let me see if I can find the one of the Dogman conference, which I know I've got him in here somewhere.
because going to conferences with us is a whole lot of fun because we are totally joking around and doing stuff all day,
Yep.
all day.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. I'll have to go back and find that one of Adam at the Dogman conference. So.
Yeah. I mean, but
Anyway.
it's always nice. I mean, the
Yeah.
conferences for us, we love talking to everybody. Like I said, we are totally goofing around all the time.
Oh,
So
yeah. For sure.
we
For
just
sure.
have a good time. And then when we met Heather at Gatlinburg, she was so busy running around in circles. We get to see her briefly for a few minutes, and she's like, "Hey, da 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 da," give us hugs, then run off, and then we'd see her, an hour or
Yep.
two later. How you doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yep. Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yep. We also had to sign our banner.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
And but we always have a good time. I mean, it always is a really good time.
We enjoy
And
the conferences. That's why we're
Yeah.
excited that hopefully we get to go to yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so, because that'll be a lot of
yeah,
fun.
I know. I hope we get to go. It's like we're trying to get a vendor spot at the Small Town Monsters Conference next year, and that is on the 28th and 29th of June in 2024. But that vendor list is a mile long, and but if you can get there, it's in Ohio. It's in Camden, right?
Mhm.
It's
Camden,
in Camden,
Ohio,
Ohio. Yeah.
Canton, Ohio. Yeah.
And do you know who you got for speakers coming yet, or is that not posted?
I know a couple guests that we're having. I don't know who the speakers are exactly yet, but
Gotcha.
Ken Gearhart is one of them coming. I know
Mhm.
Okay.
that.
He's a nice guy. We've met him.
Yeah.
I got a goofy picture with him too.
Yeah, I think today's his birthday. Actually, if
I think
if
so. I
Facebook
seen
told
that
me right.
Ann had posted it or something. I did see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how much I don't know. Happy birthday, Ken, if you're out there.
So we also are on KPNL Radio, which is Ann Selene's radio station. Who is Ken Gerhardt's girlfriend, and we love Ann.
Right.
She's awesome. She's an awesome
Yeah.
person. And for anybody in the
her.
chat, and if you're a Bigfoot person, I don't know where you've been if you haven't subscribed to Small Town Monsters, but I did just throw the link out there in the chat. So
Yeah.
I should clarify that my Bigfoot story of the friend that was here, that was in the woods when we wanted out of the woods, and then I played the howl. That was Ann that was here.
Oh, really?
Oh,
That's awesome. That's
that
awesome.
is awesome.
Yeah, we love Ann.
Now that you're saying that, I do remember her talking about that.
Yeah.
We had her on the show and she was talking about that, but she didn't mention who was with her. I'll have to get her for that.
Yeah. It was funny because we were teasing her. We're like, we better be good because our boss is here. We got our boss on, since KPNL. She's a hoot. We just love her.
Yeah, we do. She's sweet.
Yeah.
She's sweet.
For sure. All right, let's go back to spooky stuff.
Okay, spooky stuff. I love spooky stuff.
Spooky stuff. So I'll tell you the story about the Ray County Museum with my encounter there. So there was a nasty entity there, and he was upstairs. So what this building is, there's 54 rooms in it, but they're all like decorated with something different. Everything from like a grandma's kitchen to a World War II room, an old school room. I mean, if you name it, it's there. Old doctor's office, it's there. You name it. So this room happened to be, it was one of the school rooms. And Tony Pickman, who I mentioned earlier, he was kind of standing. There's a hallway that leads to an area that the public's not allowed to go into. And we were kind of standing there, and he asked Kathy, the curator, and myself, he said, "Hold me up. I'm about ready to go down." So both of us grabbed him immediately, and we took him into the schoolroom because there's the old desk in there. And we went to set him down, and he yelled at another teammate of mine, Greg Tupker at the time, and he said, "Get in between me and Krista." And I watched Tony's eyes turn black, them turn black. It was not him. And he literally, as soon as he said that and pulled Greg in front of him to block he came after me, like literally charged me. It took 4 people to hold him down. The room was in shambles. when it was over with. And literally I seen what was going on. So I started praying over him, doing, Our Father who art in heaven. And I don't know, we probably did it 4 or 5 times, and it worked. It came out of him, but that was scary. And before then, I knew the nasty was in there because there was an overnight. I used to go and help Kathy with the overnight with other teams come in and stuff. And we were sitting down in the genealogy room, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I felt hands on my neck. Something was choking me. And that had never happened to me at the museum. I had to walk out of there. And I actually, I studied demonology under the Cajun demonologist, Jeremy Leonard. And I actually called him at that time in the morning because I'm like, this has never happened to me before. I don't know if I should go back in there or, so we stood outside for about 45 minutes. Kathy and I did. And I went back inside. And then that's when we realized we need to do something about this entity, which we did after that. But that was pretty scary because literally that entity, it had it out for me. There was no doubt. And Tony, he doesn't remember it. He remembers telling Greg that's all he could do because he knew he was like changing, like the hatred was coming, for me through him. And he said that he blacked out from that whole time. And and Tony's not a big guy. And it took 4 adults to hold him down from getting to me.
That's
so
terrifying.
As far as blacking out, he doesn't remember any of that until like finally it left. And then he came to. He looked around. He's like, whoa, what happened? So yeah, that was pretty scary.
Yeah. You know what, though? I mean, a lot of people may not know this. I mean, we've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. Heather is paranormal too. So she's got a lot of background in that. So, I mean, she's your all around gal. You want to talk anything from murderers to Bigfoot. She's your girl.
Right. Absolutely.
So what is your, I want to say, because we've talked about Ohio and your places in Ohio and things like that. But I mean, have you heard a story about something that you just couldn't wrap your head around or just not understood what happened? I mean, I hear them all the time about people being jumped like yourself. And I get that. I mean, I've actually witnessed something. And so is Krista. We were in the same place. We watched something jump from person to person.
That's terrifying.
And there was probably, how many people you think there was there, Brandy, that we watched it jump into? Probably 4.
I watched it jump 3 times. I mean, I personally watched it jump 3 times.
Yeah. And honestly, I think because like, and I'm not really like trying to brag or anything because that's not who I am. But, I always do my protection, so I knew I had the power of God on my side. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't vulnerable. And it did jump from a lot of different people. And then I would go over there and we did like our Father and to get it out. And then it would leave that person and it would go to someone else. But the people it hit was vulnerable. Like the one gentleman, he had recently had a heart attack. Another one had a lot of I guess mental issues. And so it was definitely picking on the weak.
Yeah.
So, and actually here, there's a quick question. Spilling tea was Spunky Sparky. I like your name. It says, how did you see it jump? We didn't actually physically see it with our eyes. It would it would leave a person, but it was only going to the same few people. It would leave a person. And then that person you could see in their eyes. And then you would go up to them and it wasn't them. You knew,
No, it was almost like their face changed, like their whole expression changed. It was like they were there and then they weren't there. It's you weren't talking to the same person, and it was just wild. I mean, Heather, have you ever seen anything like that happen?
I haven't. I think that would freak me out. Looking back at that night that I like lost myself, I can tell that I wasn't acting normal beforehand,
Mhm.
before I even went under. Thinking back to the
Gotcha.
way that I felt, the way that I acted, it wasn't quite like me. I feel like if I had seen that in someone else,
Mhm.
whatever, like the way that they described what I did, I think that would really have shaken me. But
Mhm.
I haven't seen it happen to other people. No,
Yeah. Have
not
you
yet.
ever
Anyway,
been scratched or anything negative, choked like
I've
I
been
was? Or,
scratched. I haven't been choked. I've been scratched. There was actually one time here in this house where, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I could have scratched myself and not realized it, like just been completely
Mhm.
unaware. But
Sure.
there's I heard voices of people who weren't here. Like I was the only person in the house and I
Mhm.
heard people talking, calling for me. And when I went out into the kitchen where I thought they were and nobody was there, then I was irritated. And I
Mhm.
said something out loud like, "Oh, we're not going to do this." Or
Right.
something kind of bratty, I guess, like, "Oh, I'm
Mhm.
not dealing with this." And then the next thing I know, I felt like warmth on my neck. And I looked, and there was a scratch down my neck. But like I said, it could have been something where I had scratched myself and not realized it, and it just happened to overlap. But I don't know. It was weird. Um,
Mhm.
but there is something here that like will mimic voices. Um, and I was just really irritated at that point in time, and so I got mouthy with it.
Mhm.
So I guess if there was a cause for something to scratch me, it would have been then.
Yeah.
Um, but that's just been here. I can't think of like out on an investigation when I've been scratched, if that has happened. I've seen other people get scratched,
Yeah.
and usually the ones that get scratched are the ones they antagonize, in my
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
usually the guys because
Mhm.
they're usually the ones that are running their mouths about whatever.
And that's true.
At least in
That's
my
very
group.
true. Because I mean, that entity at the museum, before that, we figured out, because we held an event there, and there was like a 13-year-old kid come in there with its parent, and the kid got scratched, and that's just not cool.
Yeah.
And so after that, we started kind of doing some homework, and we figured out who it was. Well, it was a nasty man, and he was an abuser, and his wife and children hid out at the museum way back in the day, and they actually arrested him and held him in the jail cells there. So he was there
Mhm.
looking for them. And then so after that, it ticks me off that this kid got scratched, because that's just not cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so I did go in and say, kind of jump its ass, for doing this
Mhm.
to a kid. So I think it had it out for me from then on.
Yeah.
So that does make sense what you said, confronting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, okay. So I had just put a video on our members only um, site for Blondes and Booze members, of course. And I put a video there, excuse me, of when I went with my daughter to a teen night at Ashmore Estates. Now, Ashmore Estates it's really a calm place. I
It's
mean,
not a
there's a
negative
lot of
thing.
activity, but there's nothing really that goes on.
Mhm.
But there was a lady there that was with us, and she kept saying, "Hey, stop that. It's like something," she said, "something just pinched her." Now she was wearing a tank top because it was kind of warm inside the building because of course it's all brick and it was a warm day, the sun beating down on it. Of course it was warm in the building. And and I turned around and I really looked at her because I'm like,
Mhm.
there's no way that something really pinched you because there's nothing mean in this building. I've been there plenty of times.
Mhm.
But when I looked at her, she sure enough had a red mark with little scratches. So me being myself, I get to looking at her fingernails going, because I get a little skeptical when it comes to this. Maybe you scratched yourself, so
Mhm.
I'm looking, but she appeared to be like a severe nail biter. Like she had chewed her nails to the point where she couldn't scratch herself even if she wanted to.
Right.
You know, because I made sure that I looked at her fingernails and all that kind of stuff, because with me, I've got some fingernails and I could possibly scratch myself.
Right.
But she didn't have any of that. And she was standing right there. She wasn't standing next to a wall where she could have rubbed up against something. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing at all.
Wow.
You know, in the meantime, the hallway, the stairwell lights are going on and off, on and off. And there, we checked the stairwell. There was nobody in the stairwell, and they're going off. You know, and I'm thinking, it could be a critter. You know how about buildings, abandoned buildings? It's not abandoned, but nobody lives in it, so critters can get in. No, nothing.
Wow.
So I mean, it does happen, and that's you know, the second time that I'd seen somebody get pinched or scratched in there.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't think that all entities, you know, unless you're provoking and stuff, I get that, but I don't think all entities like mean to, per se, like scratch to hurt you. What if they're just trying to get your attention, you know? Because I don't believe that all entities are bad, you know?
Right.
So maybe it's a matter of just trying to get your attention. Maybe they don't mean to hurt you, you know, but that was how maybe they, you know, to contact you or, you know, make contact with you.
Yeah. I wonder that. And I also wonder if sometimes people don't kind of bring something with them when they go to these places.
Yeah.
Because I've heard of places where the hauntings like change and shift over time. The more people that come in and investigate, the more that everything kind of changes and morphs. And so I wonder if some of these people don't have something that's already kind of with them tagging along. And that just manifests in different places.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's and speaking with this woman very well. Yeah. She could have had something traveling with her, you know? But you know, I took my daughter, she's 13, and I wouldn't take her anywhere that I would think something like that could happen to her. But she did have like something tugging on her shirt, playful, you know, type of tugging on her shirt, things like that. But she didn't have anything like that happen. And I'm wondering if it's like, you know, when somebody comes by and they're playing with you and they kind of slug you in your shoulder, and then you're like, oh my God. It's like they don't know their own strength. It's like they don't know their own strength. I'm wondering if that's what's happening to spirits. Sometimes they're putting forth all of their energy to do that and don't even realize they had that much.
Right.
It's a possibility.
Yeah. Have you guys ever had like, you know, your hair pulled or touched or had the tug or anything like that?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, as far as hair being pulled or touched. I mean, I guess it's possible, but that would be so, this sounds silly, but that would be so minor, I guess, that I wouldn't necessarily notice it. Unless it was actual like yank and moves my head down, I'm probably just going to brush it off. To be honest.
Yeah. No, I get that. Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri. We used to hold events there, and my son and daughter-in-law would go there with me when we would do these events. And the first time my daughter-in-law was in there, she's got really, really long hair, like down to her rear. And she had her hair pulled there where her head went back, like, you know, and that was her really first encounter. But I don't feel like it was anything negative. I think it was just like, hey, you know, just trying to, and, you know, calm her down. And I told her that, you know, she's a little freaked out about it because that was the first time anything like that had happened to her, you know, but I really don't think it was, you know, anything on the negative side. Cause I mean, I'm like Brandy, you know, my kids at the time were in their 20s. I still wouldn't take them to a place where there was something negative, you know?
No. Yeah. I mean, I've had it happen to me. But it's only been in like, I want to say like in a prison, you know, something that had really super high negative energy, you know, things like that running through it. I mean, I have the hard hair pull or the jacket or the shirt tug, you know, it's like, it's more aggressive. It seems like sometimes that when I'm in those places. But I've also had it where I've been in just a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking one that is still functioning, still working.
Right.
And I've had my hair pulled a little bit, kind of like it's like a, hey, it's not real hard. It's just like a shake, like, hey. And I'm like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Or you feel the spider webs all in your hair,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Yeah.
feels like you got bugs in your scalp. It's like, excuse
You
me,
know,
I'm sitting here.
I believe hospitals to be very haunted places. I mean, look at all the death and sadness that goes on there.
Mhm.
You know, seriously.
Well, Heather, what do you think? Now, I think that, there is death and sadness in hospitals, but think about all the joy,
Yeah,
I
all
still
that
think the
joy.
death and the sadness overrides it. I do.
I just think energy's energy.
The only joy is babies, so that would be the baby floor. Every other
Well,
part of the hospital, I think, would be like on a negative. Not that it's negative haunting, but there's no people really happy on those other floors.
I think that and like prisons would be a place where there would be heavy imprints, like what we
Mhm.
call the imprint,
Right.
just the recorded, just on a
Yeah.
record player going over and over again. I can
Residual.
see that, and also, and I can see that being negative and positive.
Mhm.
I don't think that every haunting has to be a negative haunting
Right.
either.
Me either. Yep. Totally agree. And that's the thing, it's hard to like when we get these private cases and we do them, and people they automatically go to, I have a demon. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I have a demon in my house.
Yeah.
And and they're scared. They're genuinely scared, and it's hard for them, but we always go and assure them, demons are true, but they're very far and few between, in a haunting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think that has to do with the TV shows. Honestly, I really do have that feeling that they're watching these things on TV, and because certain shows are, it's always a demon. It's always a demon. Everywhere they go, there's a demon. I think that plays a lot of a lot of it itself.
puts fear in people.
Yeah. But Chris and I are big fans of the Foreman brothers.
Mhm.
And I do believe they do deal with a lot of negative energy because they do a lot of home cases, residential cases.
That's all they really do is the negative cases. All their shows when they come out. Mhm.
And I don't have it in me to do that. To do all that negativity. I just don't. I don't. I mean, like Krista said, she studied demonology under Jeremy Leonard. I also did, but I did it for a different reason.
Mhm.
And I tell this to everybody. It's not because I want to become a demonologist. I do not. It's only so I can recognize what I'm looking at. So then I can call Krista and go, hey, I got a problem for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's my thing. That's what I do. I mean, what do you think, Heather, about that? I mean, would you deal with negative energies if somebody called you, or would you call somebody else?
Well, I would ask a bunch of questions, and then if it felt like it was something
Mhm.
way beyond me, I'd absolutely call somebody else because I'm not going to mess with something like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just need to identify and call somebody.
Yeah.
See, I'm just the opposite. I feel the need to help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again,
but that's where everybody's different. I feel like my belief in God and like I feel like I'm covered, by the spirit that not that I'm invincible, but I feel like that I'm strong, that go up against the negative side. And I have, and it's knock on wood. I mean, I've seen things that people would be like, oh yeah, right. But it's very true. And it's, so far, I've made it out okay, but I do believe that's because of my faith and my crystals in my pockets,
Yeah. I would be afraid.
Yeah.
With lack of experience, I would be afraid that I would make things worse, which is why I would call someone else who has far more experience than I would if it were that kind of situation.
And I also think that it's even, it's your intention. So if you go in there with the attitude like you're invincible, I feel like, that armor is good. The negative bounces off, and I've been in some pretty sticky situations, with the negative side of things. And I mean, I have been scratched. I've been choked, things like that, but I've never, knock on wood, had anything jump me or, follow me home that I couldn't deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate.
Which, Heather, I think you got jumped.
I do too.
Going back to that story.
Yeah.
I think you got jumped.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah. That's the only place where, when we would go, like when we do the SS method, and because I was usually the one that would go under.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only place that they would have to put a time limit on me, because even when we went back a month later or 2 months later, and we went back because this was at Madison Seminary. When I went under again, I would only be under maybe 10 minutes. And then I would start that feeling would come back, and I'd start coughing again, and then they'd pull me out.
Mm-hmm.
But I could go under and be under for a good while anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something at Madison that I can't. Once I'm in that state, I've only got maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's too much.
So Heather, did you happen to notice too? Because I always tell people like, whenever they go to an investigation, I don't care if it's a negative type haunting or if it's even positive. If you feel sick at all, even have a cold, or, you and your husband are fighting, I always tell them not to go, because I feel like you have to be on your, top notch to repel these things from bringing anything home or anything negative happening to you. So when that happened to you, can you remember anything going on? Were you feeling ill a little bit, or, maybe anything like that?
I don't recall at that point in time anything really. I don't recall anything really happening, except prior to going in there, we had gone out to eat and I had been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been.
You were a target.
Opening.
Yep, you were a target. And that's another thing. Like whenever we hold events, we always, we don't allow people to have alcohol or anything, just because you are more vulnerable to,
Yeah.
Yep.
But as far as other things, but I agree with you as far as other things going on in your life too, aside from, substances.
Yeah.
There have been times where I haven't been well and somebody has invited me out on something and I'm like, I can't. I'm not okay. Mentally I'm not okay, or physically I'm not okay. Either way, I'm weakened and I'm not going.
Yep. Smart. You're very smart with that. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
We have a question here. Let's put it up. Larry asked, what do you think about Teresa Caputo? Do you guys know who she is?
Yeah, I do.
I do too. Well, I'll give you my 2 cents on Teresa Caputo. Heather, she's a Long Island medium. She's got that TV show. She got that big old blonde hair,
that big hair,
big old blonde hair.
Big.
Anyway, I think she's scripted. That's what I'm gonna say. I think she's scripted, and I think she knows about the people before she reads them, because it is TV and it's for entertainment purposes only. That's my opinion.
See, I can't have an opinion because, like I said, I have not talked to her personally, and that's the only way that I can really judge.
I've just seen too much
like
on
that.
her shows. I watched several of her shows, and I'm real weird when it comes to psychic mediums, because like there's just a few of them out there that I know that are true psychic mediums. I think we all have a little bit of gifts, but the ones that there's just a few of them out there that I believe that are truly legit, and I don't know. I think with TV, I think there's she could do a lot of Googling before these people come around.
Yeah. Because just watching her on TV, you're not going to get a good view of what she really can do, or what she's all about. I just don't think so. I think you'd have to talk to them in person.
Right. Yep. I would agree. We are actually at the 1.5 hour mark. Wow. This show went by fast.
I know. That's what happens when you get women on here.
I know, right? This was fun. Thank you, Heather, for
Yeah.
coming on.
But
And
anyway, Heather,
Yeah,
what
thanks for
are
having
you
me.
doing real quick before we leave? What are
Yeah.
you doing? Are you doing any writing or
yeah.
anything like that aside from
Well,
Small Town Monsters?
yeah, I write short stories. Sometimes I write articles. I've got a couple articles in the Feminine Macabre volumes 1, 3, and 5. I've written short stories that have been in a few things. I wrote a Halloween poem that just got published in the latest Ghost Watch zine, which will be out in
Oh,
time for Halloween. It's about
yeah.
jack-o'-lanterns.
Very
I had
cool.
actually I had messaged to make sure because they asked for Halloween poetry, and so I
Mhm.
messaged to say, "Are you okay if it rhymes?" Because to me, poetry should rhyme. But
Mhm.
I also know from grad school that certain majors do not believe that poetry should rhyme. That it's like
Mhm.
childish. And they said, "Well, if it rhymes, we'll actually think that that's really cool." And I'm like, "Okay, good," because that's the kind of poetry I like to write. I like to write in verse and rhyme.
That's
um,
awesome.
so that'll be out soon. But yeah, I'm always writing short stories and things like that, and hoping to get it out there. Maybe someday I'll have a book. We'll see. That'll be
Yeah.
down the road, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be cool.
That would be
That would be
awesome.
cool.
That would be totally awesome. And then what do you guys got coming up with Small Town Monsters? Anything you can talk about?
The next movie
Yeah, we
that'll be
always have
coming
to ask
out.
that.
The next movie that'll be coming out is American Werewolves 2. We're actually going to premiere that at the Cosmic Holler Film Festival. And then the next shoot is LBL. So we'll see what we
Cool.
can uncover while we're there.
Yeah, very cool.
Awesome.
Well, you're welcome to come on our show anytime. We thoroughly enjoy you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
thanks for
having
coming
me.
on
I have fun.
and talking spooky stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
anytime.
I don't have the book wrote in front of me. What is the book called, guys, that we're doing? The book club, the Axe Book Club.
The Man from the Train.
Yeah. So if
Yep, that's
anybody's
it, The Man from the
interested,
Train.
read The Man from the Train, and then tune back in here with Brandy, myself, Heather, and Naoma Finn, and we're going to be talking about that. So if you guys want to read that book, and we're calling it the what are we calling it, Brandy? The Axe Murder Club.
Yeah, the Axe Murder Book Club, because that's what we're reading about is axe murder. So it's The Man
Yeah.
from the Train by author Bill James, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to go ahead and
December
read the book
21st.
now.
Yeah. And, spilling tea. It is true. It is a
It's
true
true.
story.
It's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I believe it's December 21st. We'll all be back
Yep.
here, and we're going to talk about it. So
Just in time for Christmas to
yes.
talk about really merry
Joy
stuff.
time.
Yes.
Right. So anyway, we appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. And if you are a member of Texas channel, you've got the membership, tune in over there here in about 25 minutes. We're going to go live with members only on Texas side. So anyway, until next week, we will see you guys. And thank you once again, Heather. We always
Thank you, Heather.
you.
Awesome.
Yep. And we'll see you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.